Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of Gravity. Apologies for the damage of the cover. I got this in Blu-ray in CX. Not the weekend, just gone the weekend before. So it was a little bit damaged. But anyway, Gravity. The sci-fi disaster epic movie directed by Alfonso Cuarón, who, if you've been watching reviews on this channel, or at least as far back as August, you know you may have been aware that he directed Harry Potter and The Prisoner of Azkaban, one of my favourite of the Harry Potter films. In fact, second favourite, only second to Deathly Hallows Part 2. And now we get a science fiction epic film from him, and it looks absolutely stunning. It is absolutely beautiful. But visuals aren't everything, but thankfully this story has a lot of heart and a lot of emotion put into it. So story and execution go hand in hand perfectly with this film. The plot sees Dr. Ryan Stone, a doctor at a hospital, after some NASA training, has gone into space with some astronauts to do something on the Hubble telescope that has some sort of experiment. Not quite sure, but whilst up in space, along with astronaut Matt Zagorski, I believe, played by George Clooney. Stone is played by Sandra Bullock, by the way. They're attacked. Well, I say attacked. A Russian space station or satellite is destroyed, and the debris swings around the planet, which causes it to bump into the Hubble telescope and damage the Explorer shuttle, which kills off 3 of the 5 crew members. And it's up to Stone and Zagorski, I believe, to find a way back to Earth, eventually leading them to a Russian space station. However, in an attempt to make sure Ryan gets back to Earth safely, Zagorski, Matt, detaches his rope from her and falls into space, leading to his sad death, which is a shame because I liked that character. He was probably my favourite of the characters in the first half of the film. Now we've only really got one, and plus one she manages to talk to on the radio. Also, fun fact: Ed Himes voices the mission control person, and that's nice because I know him to have played Gene Kratz in Apollo 13, another sci-fi disaster movie, although one based on a historical event. That's another one I regard as regard very highly. That's another movie I regard very highly. That one, and again, like the ending of this film, very emotional but extremely satisfying. So then Stone needs to proceed from the Russian space station, as that one's damaged as well, into one of their shuttles to try and reach a Chinese station. All of these space stations seem to be abandoned, by the way. No one's there. It's the Russian. It's either a Russian one it's supposed to be the International Space Station. I'm not sure. It's difficult to tell. Anyway, but she manages to get herself to the Chinese one after a bit where she has to readjust herself and get a bit more confidence in herself. There's a bit where George Clooney's character comes back for a bit, but it turns out it was inside her head, and I was sort of expecting that to be the twist, that it was inside her head, which is a bit of a shame, but oh well, it works here, and there's some good moments. Also, before that bit, there's a moment where Ryan talks with a Greenland fisherman over the radio. That was a bit of a funny scene. There's a short directed by the co-writer of the film, Alfonso Cuarón's brother, Jonas, I believe. Jonas Cuarón. He directs a little short that sees the conversation from the fisherman's point of view, and I'll do a bonus mini review for that after this one. So eventually, Stone is able to get to the Chinese ship, space station, I should say, and eventually take the shuttle back down to Earth, avoiding 2 more debris collisions at both at the Russian International Space Station and at the Chinese one in order to return back to Earth. That's basically Gravity. It's not a very big plot, and the film's only just over an hour and a half, just a little bit, but there is still quite a bit that happens. And despite only Sandra Bullock being the only character doing stuff in space, the film actually doesn't have a slow, draggy pace. It actually works pretty well. Some really great moments of tension, and exciting moments, both in the thrilling disaster stuff and the thrilling return to Earth. Bullock's character is great. As throughout the film, we start to care more and more for the character, which makes her return back to Earth more happy and satisfying when eventually she does return back to Earth. And Sandra Bullock is outstanding in the role. Similarly, George Clooney is also outstanding in the role of Matt Zagosky. His character. Like I said, I thought he was the most likable, most fun character of the first half of the film. However, when he's gone, it's just Bullock for the majority of the remaining of the runtime, besides the bit where Clooney comes back, supposedly, as the conversation with the fisherman. It's a shame we didn't get to more character development or character time with other members of the crew. There were five members in total, 2 on the ship and 3 fixing the Hubble space station. One of them gets a pretty nasty death, which was pretty sad. From his conversation moments, he sounded like he was having fun. And then 2 other people plus the mission controls. But for the purpose of the story they served, they did fine. As did their time as the mission control commander. He did good. And the guy playing Armin Green, the fisherman. And whoever was on board the International Space Station to begin with. So there's not really a huge amount of characters in this film. It's mainly Bullock's character, Dr. Rhinestone, with also George Clooney's Matt as Zenny something. I'll just call him George Clooney's character. Mostly them for the most of the first half of the movie, and then mostly Bullock. Well, mainly just Bullock for the rest of the film. But I think between them, they do 2 fantastic performances, 2 outstanding performances even, especially Bullock. Although her character is a bit too emotional for someone to be sent into space by NASA, the film is a bit unrealistic in places. It's not supposed to be accurate, both scientifically and reality. It's a piece of fiction. But yeah, despite being very emotional, Bullock's character is still brilliant, and actually I think her being more emotional than most trained astronauts or people sent into space actually does make her more relatable to the audience, and also you care and sympathize for her more as the film progresses. The visuals are absolutely stunning. How they managed to do this was amazing. The film takes place in space, and how it all looks and how the characters move. It all looks so realistic. They must have done a lot of research to how to do this, and the CGI and the visuals look absolutely brilliant. The easiest bit to film is probably the ending. The ending is probably the easiest bit they filmed. But yeah, some spectacular visuals, and together with the acting, they managed to make a lot of great moments, both the disaster moments, thrilling, action-centered ones, as well as also the calmer, quieter moments just through space, and some good personal moments with the characters. I also love how quite a lot of the film, especially early on, seems to be taken just from one long take. There seems to be lots of one long takes at a time. So that's some really great stuff and works really well. And also a fantastic music score by Stephen Price, who knocks out the park in some great moments. And also like the addition that because there's no sound in space, whenever oxygen is sucked out of the room, or whether they're stuck in space without radio link and They can't talk. Besides talking to themselves, it's dead quiet, or you hear this big or a lot of rush, but mostly it's dead quiet, and that is a nice, brilliant touch. On the whole, Gravity is a masterpiece, both in spectacle, visuals, and in the great character-driven story that is really about one person, mainly, trying to get back home, back to Earth, after being being stranded in space following an accident. The ending doesn't really suggest if she does manage to get back to home, but she gets back to Earth. But it's a happy and satisfying ending, and you can feel like with Apollo 13, you feel the relief, you feel the emotion, and it just works on so many levels. I'll have to review Apollo 13 at some point. It's a fantastic film. But as for Gravity, this one just knocked it out of the park. Just amazing, just outstanding stuff. So I will be giving Gravity a 10 out of 10. A mix of fantastic personal character storytelling with a spectacular, stunning visual telling story brings this movie to life, and it's just a thrill of a time. There is some slow bits, but they don't drag. They're not boring. They're really good. They're actually really good, and also plays into the fact that it's space. So of course they're going to be a bit slow, but lots of great stuff, and it is a really great emotional film to watch. Check it out and see what it's like. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you for watching. This film is the 5th film I have to watch for my Theorizing Spectatorship film module for university. The next film is a film that takes us right back down to earth, but for another more personal story based on historical events, a bit like Apollo 13. And that film is Elephant. Not sure why it's called Elephant, considering what it's about. Maybe we'll find out in the film. And I'll watch that maybe next week. We'll see. Probably next week, yeah. But definitely coming up. Following that is WALL-E, another sci-fi film, and that one I'm looking forward to. Then a documentary film called Nanette, and then we end on a film called Snowpiercer, which also has Ed Hynes in, according to his Wikipedia page. Other films will be done in the meantime as well, such as the next Lupin III film, The Legend of the Gold of Babylon. And also, I recently watched the Snoopy and Peanut. And also recently I saw the Snoopy and Charlie Brown the Peanuts movie again. I didn't see the entirety, so I'll give it another rewatch before doing a review. But again, that is another fantastic film. So a lot of great stuff to look forward to, hopefully. But Gravity, spectacular. I totally recommend this one. That's it from me. Thank you for watching. And the next Theorizing Spectatorship film I will be reviewing will be Elephant. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. God. So Stone then needs to proceed, presumably back in America, because otherwise, so that's the together merged with the great performances of the cast, they managed to make a tense, thrilling, and action-packed with lots of heart. They make on the whole, Gravity is a masterpiece, both spectacularly and that is a happy and satisfactory ending. Very satisfactory, and just and also in but lots of great moments and lots of emotional. Check it out and see what it's at. The next one, the sixth film, will be a film called Elephant, and we go right back down to earth with that film, for another personal story, this time based on historical events. And yeah, with Gravity, for the film Elephant, The Legend of the Secret of. And for the Theorizing Spectatorship films, film. And next on the Theorizing